Since 1973, legal abortion has killed more African Americans than AIDS, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and violent crime combined. Every week, more blacks die in American abortion clinics than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. And the largest chain of abortion clinics in the United States is operated by Planned Parenthood.
"20 million Black babies' hearts have stopped beating because of abortion since Roe v. Wade passed in 1973. In New York City alone, more Black babies are being aborted than being born alive. We can no longer turn a blind eye. 80% of abortion clinics are strategically placed in minority and low-income areas. Black women, we are 5 times more likely to have an abortion than white women. The number one killer in the Black community is not Black-on-Black crime, not police brutality, not guns, not drugs, not heart disease or cancer. It is the direct and intentional killing of a human life inside the Black woman's womb.
So we're being subconsciously rewired and neurologically programmed to no longer value human interaction. So now when they start shooting people in the head out in the open, it's going to be just like in the hood. So people need to look at the worst parts of the world, not just from a standpoint of how they got there, but look at what they tolerate because they've been desensitized. You can just watch somebody get their brains blew out and walk around like that's fine.
Maybe I'm not objective when it comes to Planned Parenthood, but I know who Margaret Sanger is, and I know that she believed in eugenics and that she was not particularly enamored with Black people, and one of the reasons that you find most of their clinics in Black neighborhoods is so that you can find a way to control that population. And I think people should go back and read about Margaret Sanger, who founded this place, a woman who Hillary Clinton, by the way, says that she admires. Look and see what many people in Nazi Germany.
Headquarters in New York. This is CBS News with Walter Cronkite and Eric Severide in New York, George Herman in Washington, Leslie Stahl in Washington, Brittany Graham in Atlanta, Peter Kalisher in Paris, Tom Fenton in Paris, Robert Shackney in Des Moines. And tonight, the CBS Evening News special report, The Energy Crisis.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions. The majority in cases from Texas and Georgia said that the decision to end a pregnancy during the first 3 months belongs to the woman and her doctor, not the government. Thus, the anti-abortion laws of 46 states were rendered unconstitutional. More on the story from George Herman.
In 2 related cases and 8 separate opinions, the 9 justices made abortion largely a private matter and ordered the states to make no laws forbidding it, except possibly during the final months. The court split 7-2 with Justices Byron White and William Rehnquist dissenting. In effect, the court makes abortion subject only to the decision of the pregnant woman's doctor. It ruled that states may make no laws restricting a doctor's right to decide his patient needs an abortion and to carry out that abortion during the first 3 months of a pregnancy. After that comparatively safe 3-month period, abortions may be regulated but not prohibited by state law and for the benefit of the mother's health alone. Abortion is somewhat more dangerous at this stage, and states may insist, for example, that they be performed in regulated hospitals. Only in the final stages of pregnancy may states intervene and say no to abortion. The court's decision, written by Justice Blackmun, thus sets limits on the right to abortion on demand. One limit is the time when doctors believe the fetus may be able to survive outside the mother's womb. At that point, usually in the 7th month of pregnancy, the state may take legal action to protect the unborn child, even forbidding abortion except to protect the mother. The newly liberalized abortion law brought immediate reaction.
I think that to raise the dignity of woman and give her freedom of choice in this area is an extraordinary event. And I think that January 22nd, 1973 would be an historic day.
In this instance, the Supreme
unborn children, and it is teaching people that abortion is a rather innocuous procedure provided that there are proper legal safeguards. I think that the judgment of the court will do a great deal to tear down and respect previously accorded human life in our culture.
One of today's plaintiffs was an anonymous former mental patient identified only as Mary Doe, 22 years old. CBS News correspondent Fred Graham talked with her recently.
Now, the first two children you had, they've been taken away from you.
Yes, because I couldn't take care of them by myself and I couldn't with my husband.
Now that you had one more, and it was also put out for adoption, wasn't it?
Yes, I put it out because of my husband.
Now, after you were unable to get the abortion for the fourth pregnancy, what happened?
Well, I had to go in and have the baby and have it adopted out.
New York State, among others, already have liberalized abortions. Now the rest of the country must follow suit. The White House offered no comment, but President Nixon has always strongly opposed liberalized abortion. Other opponents are now talking of a constitutional amendment to reverse today's ruling. Until then, if the experience of New York State is any guide, America will eventually have one abortion for every 2 births. George Herman, CBS News, Washington.
We're going to get directly into this. Now, this is from New York University. This says the Margaret Sanger Papers Project. Birth control or race control. Sanger and the Negro Project. Okay? The Negro Project, instigated in 1939 by Margaret Sanger, was one of the first major undertakings of the new Birth Control Federation of America, the product of a merger between the American Birth Control League and Sanger's Birth Control Clinical Research Bureau, and one of the more controversial campaigns of birth control movement. Developed by white birth control reformers. Please, please, please keep in mind that this is something that was developed by white people. This is not black people, okay? I got to just come in here for a minute. Okay, this is not about black people. You never saw black women back in the day, civil rights movement and none of that. Nobody was marching for the right to kill their baby. This is not something that was started or created or an idea that claimed from back America. We was just fighting to be free. We were just fighting to be treated equal. Nobody was fighting for a choice. Nobody was marching for a choice. So again, this has absolutely nothing to do with us, but let's get back to this, what we were talking about. It says here, developed by white birth control reformers who consulted with African Americans for help in promoting the project only well after its inception. The Negro Project and associated campaigns were nevertheless widely supported by black leaders such as Mary McLeod Bethune, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr., influenced strongly by both the eugenics movement. Listen. Influenced strongly by both the eugenics movement and the progressive welfare programs of the New Deal era. The New Negro Project was, from the start, largely indifferent to the needs of the black community and constructed in terms and with perceptions that today smack of racism. Support and funding to tell us that the best thing we can do as a people, Black America, I'm talking to you, okay? Because let's just be 100. We know other people abort, we know all that, but I'm talking about us right now. I don't care who get mad. We let a white woman come into our churches, get with all of our community leaders, feed us this bull crap, because my godmama asked me to stop cussing. If I don't do it for me, I'm going to do it for her. That the best thing we can do to make our lives better is to execute our children in the womb. Kill your baby before you even have a chance to look at his eyes. Kill your baby before you even have a chance to take his first breath. Kill your baby before his feet even hit the ground. You better believe that in every aspect, abortion is murder. Abortion is not birth control. Birth control is birth control. Birth control prevents the pregnancy. Abortion is population control. This is a tough conversation this morning. Kudos to everybody that's tuned in, that's listening. I know that it's hard to hear, but the truth is what we need right now in this season. We can no longer allow these people to feed us lies and wonder why we have not advanced as a community, as a people. Okay, let's get back into this. We believe birth control knowledge brought to this group is the most direct constructive aid that can be given them to improve their immediate situation. In other words, the best thing to do with all these poor, underprivileged niggas that's on welfare that we tired of taking care of, hey, kill them. Convince them to kill their babies before we have to take care of another poor, underprivileged ghetto nigga. That's what they said. You right, I'm offended. I'm offended when we got Black leaders in our community that is continuing to push this blatant racism, okay? And in the name of Martin Luther King, baby, if Martin Luther King mama had an abortion, you would have never even had a dream. You wouldn't even be free. Now, here's my thing, and I'm gonna get back into this. I'm gonna get back into this a little bit, but I gotta talk for just a minute. Hold on 1 second. Let me get back over here. Here's my thing, right? Now, I understand that there are some situations, right, that happen or take place when a woman may find herself in a situation, right? Or we talking about rape or whatever that situation may be. I get that. I am not completely insensitive, right, to those issues. And I know, right, that the fair thing to do, right, is to believe and trust what a woman is saying. I'm not against that either. But what I'm saying is, as a leader, as a Black leader, when do we begin to promote and celebrate abortion like we don't know what the hell abortion is? When do we begin to promote abortion from the pulpit? Because the last time I checked, I see a lot of people want to throw Bible scriptures out there. One of the 10 commandments was thou shalt not kill. When do we as leaders promote the execution of Black life? Now, if the pastor has a situation and a woman has to come in his office and needs counsel, Reverend, I find myself in a situation. I cheated on my husband. I got pregnant. I was all wrong. It's all wrong. If he wants to sit down and have a conversation with that woman in private, right, about what they feel like the best thing to do. Now, what he tells the woman and what I tell the woman is two totally different things, right? Probably so. But Reverend Warlock, why are we promoting it on social media? Why are we promoting it from the pulpit? Huh? Why are we celebrating the execution of Black life and pointing the finger at white supremacy at the same time? Why are you being a tool for the white man to convince the Black community of Georgia that abortion is health care when we know abortion is death care? Now, let's get back into this. They were all sitting behind him with a smile. Now, since you guys think this is a joke, right, and you don't believe abortion is murder, you don't believe that it is a baby, what I'm getting ready to do right now, right, is I'm going to play a video from an ex-abortionist. This man used to be an abortionist, to tell you what all happens in an abortion procedure. Okay? It's time that we go ahead and address the truth. It's a time that we go ahead and show what's really going on, what's really happening here. Let's talk about it.
My name is Dr. Anthony Levatino. I'm a practicing obstetrician gynecologist, and I've performed over 1,200 abortions. Today, I'm going to describe a third trimester induced abortion, which is performed at 25 weeks to term. At this point, the baby is almost fully developed and viable, meaning he or she could survive outside the womb if the mother were to go into labor prematurely. Because the baby is so large and developed, this procedure takes 3 or 4 days to complete. On day 1, the abortionist uses a large needle to inject a drug called digoxin. Digoxin is generally used to treat heart problems, but a high enough dosage of digoxin will cause fatal cardiac arrest. The abortionist inserts the needle with the digoxin through the woman's abdomen or through her vagina and into the baby, targeting either the head, torso, or heart. The baby will feel it. Babies at this stage feel pain. When the needle pierces the baby's body and the digoxin takes effect, the life of the baby will end. The abortionist then inserts multiple sticks of seaweed called laminaria into the woman's cervix. They will slowly open up the cervix for delivery of a stillborn baby. While the woman waits for the laminaria to dilate her cervix, she carries her dead baby inside of her for 2 to 3 days. On day 2, the abortionist replaces the laminaria and may perform a second ultrasound to ensure the baby is dead. If the child is still alive, he administers another lethal dose of digoxin. The woman then goes back to where she is staying while her cervix continues to dilate. If she goes into labor and is unable to make it to the clinic in time, she will give birth at home or in a hotel. In this case, she may be advised to deliver her baby into a bathroom toilet. The abortionist then comes to remove the baby and clean up. If she can make it to the clinic, she will do so during her severest contractions and deliver her dead son or daughter. If the baby does not come out whole, then the procedure becomes a D&E, a dilation and evacuation, and the abortionist uses clamps and forceps to dismember the baby, piece by piece. Once the placenta and all the body parts have been removed, the abortion is complete. Late-term abortions have a high risk of hemorrhage, lacerations, and
Definitely the African American community. I think that it's a travesty and it's really devastating our community. It's gotten to the point where in inner cities, especially where the Planned Parenthood and the abortion facilities they set up camp there, where abortion is up to 50% in most cities. And in New York City, we just heard 60% of all abortions are performed on Black women. So.